And we're back. Apologies for the technical difficulties, everyone. I think we cut out just as Ingrid was about to say she loves Facebook. And just before Scott went on a mini hiatus to compare thousands of hotel rooms. Ingrid, go ahead. You were saying how much you love Facebook, and tell us why.
Okay, so Facebook is one of my personal favorites, and I would say that I use each of the sites, and I'd recommend everyone to use each of the sites, depending on what you're doing and where you're at. Like, I find Twitter amazing for events. I'm very active on Twitter during events. Otherwise, I find it really easy to just post what I post on Facebook to Twitter and then just reply, and maybe post a little bit of other stuff to Twitter, but I can find that a bit easier to manage. But Facebook is one of my favorites because I find that I have gotten access to people that I never would have gotten otherwise. It's such a public site, and it's so easy to connect with people. And what I mean by that, for example, I'm going to a conference next week. So what I've done pre-conference is I've connected or sent messages or added as friends people that I want to connect with at the conference. So they're going to know that I want to meet up with them before I go there. Now, when I'm at the event, I'll take pictures, I'll post it, you know, so on and so forth, and I'll keep in touch with them over Facebook after the event. I'm not selling, I'm not telling them you got to use this service, guys, you got to do this. I'm really not asking for anything. All I'm doing is I'm just being a friend up to that point. And then when I find that there could be some reason why we might want to make a connection, or I could help them or they could help me, my really simple strategy that brokers can steal for you know, getting access to people in your community that you might not normally have access to, I find there's two things that I do. I upload pictures and I tag people, and then I continue the conversation with them. Or the other thing that I do is I might just ask somebody for their opinion. I'll call them up because I met them at the event, and I'll say, you know what, I really found it inspiring how you're such a leader, or you're so good at this, or I butter them up a little bit, right? And then I'll say, I wanted to get your opinion on something. Do you have 2 minutes for me? And I'll schedule a call. Or I might call them up, and during that call saying, I don't want to interrupt your day now. I know that, you know, I didn't really schedule this, so if you have 5 minutes now, great, but if you don't, let's set something up on the calendar. I find that people are so generous with information, and they'll help you out, and they'll let you speak at an event. They'll give you access maybe to some of their networks, and you could even ask them, like, who do you know that I should know that would be interested in this?
I want to jump in there to that one. That's excuse me. That's perfect. I guess the one thing that everybody forgets about social media is it's kind of just a conduit, right, to meet people offline. And you know, if you're just following someone on Facebook and not interacting with them at all, or just hitting like on their posts is not enough anymore. And to pick up the phone and schedule a coffee, schedule a meeting, schedule something a bit more face-to-face, or even a conference call, like you said, makes all the difference in the world.
I tried that one, so, you know, and I would agree with that. Generally speaking, I think that's the right strategy, and I would say the same applies to even breakfast. If you're going to a regular breakfast networking meeting or whatever else you're doing, whether it's social media or not, connecting with people outside of the formal structure is a good way to go. I know lots of people who go to, you know, a Thursday morning breakfast club and see people there in that environment. You get a 30-second soundbite or a 60-second soundbite, and then you're gone. It's not the same as sitting down and having coffee with them, getting to know them, understanding their business a little bit better, but also their character. Is it somebody you want to do business with, or is it somebody you want to refer to? I did approach. There's a realtor on LinkedIn in my network that I've actually never met, but we're connected somehow. She does the best job on LinkedIn of anybody I've ever met. And so I said that. I sent her a message. I said, you do a phenomenal job on LinkedIn, and I think that's the only social media that I see her on. And I said, I'd love to learn more about how you're using it and whether it's been effective for you. Can I buy you a coffee sometime? The hard part was, though, she didn't want to meet. It was like, then she tried to recruit me to her BNI chapter. So it was kind of interesting. I was like, well, I won't meet with you just for a coffee or whatever, but you're welcome to come to my BNI chapter. But just so you know that, there's already a mortgage broker in, and wait list of about 10 people. So it was really kind of off-putting. It was too bad. It didn't work out the way I had intended it, and I don't know if she misread my intentions at all. But
Can I give you a little tip?
Yeah.
Okay, so in your basic lead generation strategy, whether that's online, offline, social, whatever it is, there's usually about 5 unique steps when you get from that point where you make the initial contact until that person becomes a referral source or a client or whatever you want them to be. And what I find is that you got to take baby steps through those. So I'll give a few examples. So if you go to a networking event and you're saying, this person is influential, they're a realtor, I'd love to become their referral partner, how can I do that? You need to be very strategic, and you also need to map out, okay, well, what am I going to do here? I wouldn't start out with calling somebody up and asking them for coffee. I think you probably jump to step 3. So like there's 3, there's like the capture phase, there's the nurture phase, and the close phase.
Okay.
So you may have jumped through those steps a little too quickly. So I would have, first of all, I mean, you got to butter people up. So I probably, if you put some things on LinkedIn.
I came on too strong, did I?
Uh-huh. You tried to hit a home run on the first date.
Gord's always trying to close.
I don't have the patience, I guess, and because my intentions are sincere, right? Like I really actually didn't even think of trying to. I wasn't actually trying to get a referral business. I really wanted to know what she was doing on LinkedIn.
But that's fine. But I wouldn't ask somebody for coffee, because I think that time commitment, and like they have to drive 10 minutes to meet you and then sit with you, and they're kind of trapped in a conversation, and then they got to drive. So what I would have done instead in that scenario, first of all, is I would have, if this person is posting to LinkedIn, I would have added some comments. I would have shared some other stuff. I would say great information from this person, like really show that you're interested. And then I would have called the person and just say, you know what, I want your opinion on something. You're so brilliant on LinkedIn, and I just, can I just ask you a question?
Yeah, okay.
And I always do that. I literally, and I'm not even kidding, I will send emails to people. My subject line will be quick question. My email will say, Joe, I love what you're doing on this. Can I ask you a quick question? Question mark. Ingrid. Super simple, right? So I'll warm them up on social media, and then I will connect with them on the phone. If the conversation goes somewhere and I think that there's some possibility, then I will go for a meeting of sorts or a coffee or whatever it is. And then if that's a fit and then I might actually talk about, you know what, I love what you're doing. I think you're awesome. You're the caliber of realtor that I very selectively would choose to work with. Are you interested in being a referral partner? How can we make that work? But throughout that whole process, I mean, you got to be really courteous, and you actually have to provide value for the other person, right? You can't just go and say, I want to take from you. You could say, you know what would be amazing? If you want to get business from mortgage brokers, here's how you could do. Like, really give tons of free information, give tips, and make sure the other person sees value, and they leave that meeting and they're saying, I picked up something that I can put in my business that will get me new clients. Thank you.
Sorry, that's great advice, and I think teaching patience and the long tail is important, because a lot of brokers try to assume that it's just going to happen. You put yourself out there. I know a lot of new brokers. We've talked a number of times on this show about how new brokers think, well, all I got to do is get some business cards and show up, and I'm going to get loads of leads, hot leads. And it doesn't work that way. So you have to show up, be consistent. I'd even be tempted to say, and this is something I struggle with, but not always trying to find new people to connect with. I think that's important, but just taking better care of the people you're already connected with.
Absolutely.
Staying more in contact with them instead of seeing them once every 2 years or 3 years, or whatever it is. Having a more frequent contact with people that you have done business with or have connected with in the past, so that they feel that there's a genuine that you genuinely care about them, as opposed to just move from person to person to person and trying to expand your network at this crazy pace.
I think one of the things that's really critical here, and I talk about this when I do my presentation for the Mortgage Bulletin, our Done For You social media service, but Spend your mornings doing very active lead generation and spend your afternoons sort of servicing your clients. And one of the examples I give is, if every single morning you called 5 people in your database and said, it's time for a mortgage checkup, let's see if we can save you some money. And then you spent your afternoon actually doing those appointments, I mean, your business would be in a totally different place than if you were posting things only on Facebook and you thought that's your only way to generate leads. I make a very clear distinction between spend your quality time doing very active lead generation. And if you're going to do mortgage checkups, like, you have to put your consumer hat on. You have to ask your clients, what are your goals? Where do you want to be in 5 years? What's your biggest thing? Like, what's keeping you up at night? What it has to do with your money and mortgage and so on and so forth? And where do you want to be? Like, what's your big goal? And if you can find out that your clients are saying, you know what, I hate paying my mortgage. I want to be out of my mortgage in this year. Look at their scenario and help them to achieve that. Set together a plan, right? Or if your clients are saying, you know what, we actually, turns out, like Jackson, we have another baby, we need to move, we need a bigger house. Then there's an opportunity there. Okay, great. You get a repeat client. Or they might say, you know what, we're actually really worried about our retirement. We don't have pensions. We don't really have any plans. We think we want to own some real estate investment properties, and that rent is going to be paying for our retirement. Then there's another opportunity for you. Look at their scenario, look at how you can help them, give them a little bit of guidance on real estate investing as it relates to mortgages. Those are all huge opportunities. Spend that time every single year with your clients and figure out how you can help them. Do they need to consolidate some credit card debt? What are their goals? How can you help them? Be indispensable for them. And some brokers, when I tell them that, they say, you know what, I don't want people to feel like I'm bothering them. And I'm like, well, here's an example. I own some investments with RBC, like some RRSPs or whatever. I've had them for 5 years. No one's ever called me. I made some lucky picks. Some of them went up 50%. One of them lost 75%. The fact that no one has ever called me really pisses me off.
Yeah, and you do hear that. You hear that from people who make a move, and maybe that institution never heard from those people. They didn't get a call from the institution, but they didn't call when they decided to leave the institution either. And so everybody's in the dark. The new company gets an opportunity. Maybe it's us, maybe it's another brokerage. And I know for us, we cross our fingers and do our best and hope that we can alleviate their concerns or do things better than the last company. But we have to have a plan in place for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these can't be like random, I'm going to do them anytime, sometime, or when I'm low on business and I'm going to be really proactive. I mean, the most successful people definitely have systems in place. And there's a little saying, cheesy as it is, it's like structure is freedom. Especially if you're a mortgage broker and you're self-employed, have some structure to what you're doing, right? Every morning you make 5 calls and you schedule mortgage checkups. Every morning you make 5 calls to referral partners. What are your activities that you're doing? Instead of, I'm really busy right now, okay, great, I'm totally going to ignore my database, I'm totally going to ignore my referral partners, and I'm just going to focus on these deals. And then as soon as they close, you're like, oh my God, I don't have anything in the pipeline. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
I don't know any brokers who have been there, Ingrid. I don't know any of them. Wow. If that's not the story of all of our lives. You're giving us pearls here. I love it.
Well, and that could indicate that's some of the power in what you're proposing with the done-for-you social media or done-for-you sort of marketing stuff, is that if you have that structure in place, that marketing is being done on a consistent basis while you're closing with a client, while you're working on their file, so that you can be almost in 2 places at once. Is that essentially it?
It's finding leverage in your business. So what leverage allows you to do, it allows you to get way more done without you having to work any harder.
Right.
Because you can't do everything. It's totally impossible to think that you would be amazing at, negotiating, closing deals, marketing, networking, doing financial analysis of your clients, and then you're also amazing at going to every conference. You're also a blogger. You do tons of video. Like, you can't do all that. So what I say is focus on the things that you're really good at and build your marketing plan around that. For me, I love public speaking. If I was a mortgage broker, I would be hosting first-time homebuyer seminars. I would be hosting first-time investor seminars. I would be hosting retirement planning through your mortgage seminars. Every week, I'd host 2 or 3 seminars. I'd market them very aggressively. I'd build my list by marketing, capturing them, providing them awesome information. At the end of my seminar, I'd say for those of you that are looking to take action right now, here's the form that you can fill out, and we'll get you in and we'll get you pre-approved. Come into my office, schedule the time that works for you from this list. We'll get you in, get you pre-approved, and we'll set you off on your path to financial freedom. That's what I would do, but that's my strength. If you're somebody that hates public speaking, that wouldn't work for you, right? Focus on what you're good at, focus on your strength, and try and get people to help you with everything else. You cannot do everything.
Great tips. Jens, any other, or Ingrid, any other thoughts just on passive versus active, and where you think the majority of brokers should be spending their time?
So what I'd say is spend your time on your very active lead generation. That means picking up the phone. That means meeting with your clients face to face. And the things that are more passive, you set systems in place to take care of them for you, right? I wouldn't focus a huge amount of your time on there because those are things that are going to stop you from losing leads, but they're not necessarily going to generate you quality leads right now. So I would try and get some help with those things, just like your newsletter or your social media.
Would you call the passive, sorry to interrupt, but the passive stuff that brokers, is that more of a branding activity in a sense, just to remain top of mind or to get the word out about who you are, as opposed to lead generation?
I don't know that I would refer to it specifically as branding, but it's definitely, it's like repeat and referral sort of marketing. You know, you want to get that. It's not for people that have never had any contact with you typically. It's people that have done something with you in the past, or they may have, your name might have been passed on to them. It's building that familiarity. I guess you could call that branding, but it's more like doing the consistent actions. It's not creating that first impression, it's creating that ongoing impression. So branding I put more in the category of can be creating that first impression and winning them over. I would focus my energy on the things that get me new clients right now in the near future, and I'd have systems in place to taking care of those clients and keeping them my clients, right? You can't just randomly send a note to your clients once every 6 months and think it's going to work, right? They're being like poached by banks like crazy for all brokers. So you have to be just as active. But you have a personal touch. You know your clients personally. Use that to your advantage.
Scott, have you, with this Castle announcement, Ingrid's advice is well taken as far as I'm concerned in terms of staying in touch. And you know, there's some camp stats. What was the camp stats, Scott? Do you remember the number of optimal times to reach out and touch your client?
I don't remember the actual stat on there, but isn't it something about like a minimum? Isn't it minimum 6 times a year? Between six and 8, like a minimum, yeah. I guess a question for you in terms of what I'm trying to do in my business a little bit is to be a bit more personal, and obviously we've done so much online, and I think with Castle is kind of one reason to do something differently is going a bit more. I'm taking my business a bit more, I guess, old school in terms of sending out actual letters every day instead of emails and that kind of stuff. So some changes for sure, but I think the lessons are still the same, right? In terms of how much you have to touch these people, because if you're not, I guess someone else is, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I would do whatever works for you, and as long as you track that stuff, right? And this is really difficult. I mean, it's don't beat yourself up if you're not really tracking it that effectively, because most people aren't. But if you can manage to implement that, so say you sent a letter campaign and you want to see how many people call you, just make sure that you ask people when they call you, oh, how did you find out about me? Or, find out where that source is from. And the other thing is that if you're doing online advertising, and this is one of the things that I see on Facebook quite frequently, if you're buying Facebook ads or you're doing any sponsored posts or anything like that and you're advertising, you're totally wasting your money if you're sending people to your general templated website. Most of them don't have opt-in or lead capture or anything good. If you're going to buy those ads, you want to send somebody to a very targeted page, and in marketing words it's called a squeeze page, but it pretty much means that you send someone to a site where you're going to give them something in exchange for their contact information. Maybe you are going to give them a free ebook on how to become real estate investors, or you're going to give them some, invite them to a seminar that you're having for first-time home buyers, or you're inviting them to a financial freedom workshop, or whatever it is. You have to give them something in exchange for that contact information. I would focus on there. And by the way, when you do that, you're not giving them a general page where it's like about us and find the phone numbers and this. The only thing that you can do is leave your contact information or get off the page. That will get you the most amount of contacts for your Facebook advertising or anything like that. Very targeted stuff. And I see a lot of mortgage brokers that are just taking out general ads, really wasting their budget. So
yeah, you see that all the time on Google's a bad one, and those. I mean, Gord, you can probably speak for this. Those keywords are expensive. And
yes.
I mean, I see mortgage brokers that are doing it, and I actually kind of smile because it's just such a waste of money. If you're not doing it properly, you're just.
And then you hear people saying like, well, marketing doesn't work, and it's like, well, it's not that marketing doesn't work, but you have to know how to work it, and then it'll work for you. So boost your skills. I mean, there's different things that you can do. There's probably courses that you can take. You can learn online. You can do some things. But really make sure that when you are spending your marketing budget and you have a shoestring budget, that you set it up for optimal success. Don't go in blind and just think, I'm going to just do this. Like, just Google, like, effective, Google AdWord campaigns. Find some examples. You will have to spend some time. You will have to spend some money. That might not be what you want to do. It is not for everyone. I'm giving you tons of different examples of things you can do. Take whichever one is most appealing to you and put that into place. Feel no pressure whatsoever to take all of these and do them. Don't spend your time in a million different places. Focus on one thing that works for you and really excel in that category.
Great stuff. Well, I think that's probably a good one to end on. However, we have yet to do the speed round with Ingrid. So this is something we like to do to put our guests on the spot a little bit, have a little fun with you. And I'm going to make somebody else go first because I haven't thought of my question.
Ingrid, will Snapchat ever have a commercial purpose?
I would say sooner or later, all sites will have some commercial purpose because they want to monetize. I mean, you can get funding and you can have venture capital that are going to be paying, but sooner or later, these guys need to justify the efforts and the money they're spending. It's going to monetize at some point, which means it's going to be commercial.
There we go.
Scott.
I was going to ask a Travago. Did you ask the Travago question yet?
The drifter?
The grifter. I probably missed it, but because I was in internet la la land. Favorite social media platform?
I'm a big fan of Facebook. That's worked for me very, very well. Oh, I forgot to give you guys a little tip, by the way. If you try and contact someone and you're not having any luck, so you sent them emails, you called them, and this and that, and you're Facebook friends with them, I have a little bit of no shame, so I'll actually post publicly on their wall like, hi, I hope you're having an awesome day. I left a voicemail for you. Did you get it? Question mark. Always works, by the way.
Quick respond, social stop. Ingrid, my question is
still being formulated.
Who's doing the best mortgage besides you? Which of the mortgage brands out there, or let's say the national brokerages, which ones, in your opinion, are doing the best job of marketing, and why? And maybe if you dare say it, who needs to improve their game?
Well, I think it all depends on what their goal is, and they all have different goals. I mean, you have some that have a megaphone that want to, speak really loudly and build through the public channels, and they're doing a good job. And you have others that are like, we're focused entirely on our broker network and helping them to mortgage. I can't say that I have a favorite, or I just think as long as you're...
We
answer.
You're not a politician. You're a marketer. Give me the straight facts. Who's doing a great job? Who's not?
I will answer that question in the real estate world, and then you can apply it.
There you go. Good idea.
In the mortgage world. So some of the things that I see people doing really, really well, and you might not know them, but like look them up because they really have built their business very quickly. Sage Real Estate. They're out of Toronto.
Mhm.
They have built their business basically as a digital agency that happens to be doing real estate. They're doing, and actually it started by a father and two sons, and one of the sons was, he was managing a digital agency. So they're totally acing it in the online world, and what they've done is they've really attracted tons of star players that understand everything about online, social, mobile, and active lead generation, and they're having great success. So that's one of them that I think, and I don't know anyone, to be honest with you, in the mortgage space that's doing it that effectively. There has not been anybody. There's people that have done marketing and stuff like that, but nobody at that level. I mean, the look is beautiful of stuff. They totally understand lead capture. I mean, the Facebook ads that they're doing, for example, are, and it works in Toronto because we have a super hot market, but their Facebook ads are, don't miss out on another property again. And then you leave your first name and your email address, and it said, get VIP listings the day they hit the market, or something like that, right? So that appeals to people that are like, I'm ready to buy right now, and I'm really frustrated that I keep on looking, and I'm losing all these bidding wars, and I don't want to be left behind. It's very effective for them, actually. So there's an example of one that I really am enjoying. They're having great success. They've recruited a ton. They don't have a franchise business model yet, so but expect to see great things from them. They go to all of the big seminars and conferences. They've been mentioned by like U.S. companies that are saying, watch what the Sage brothers are doing up in Canada, right? They're doing a really, really great job. I haven't seen a mortgage company that has taken that level of digital and done as well.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, thanks so much, Ingrid. You know, it's nice to have somebody with your experience join us on the show today, and you've always been a big supporter of the industry, and nice to have you out at all the events and things like that too. So, very glad to have you on the show and for you to share that insight with us, and wish you all the best going forward.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Okay,
Thanks,
bye.
everyone. Thank you.
Bye, Ingrid.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.